What's going on, you guys? It's good to have you back. I'm Prepperines, your host, through this crazy world right now. Tonight, we're going to go over some stuff. So here we go. So basically, I'm your guide through the maze of global chaos and questionable decision-making skills. Tonight's live stream is hotter than a Carolina Reaper in a sauna. And you thought that the world was catching its breath? Think again, because we're diving headfirst into a ceasefire hotter than a summer fling between elected officials and
to me like this. He said, most of the world out there is sheep. They're kind, gentle creatures. They can only hurt one another by accident. He says, then there are wolves. The wolves will feed on the sheep. They're the sociopaths. They're the criminals. He says, and then there are sheepdogs. The sheep are a little leery of the sheepdog. He wanders around, checks the perimeter every night, barks at the moon. He would never turn his teeth on the flock, but he yearns for a righteous battle. And when the wolf comes around, nothing else will do, and the entire flock is sitting there trying to hide behind one lonely sheepdog as he faces down the wolves. We're talking about a creature who is capable of confronting and dealing with combat and sustaining themselves across the long haul. The goal becomes to be a sheepdog, to be a warrior, to be the one that is ready to respond to the threats when the time arises.
what's going on, you guys? I am having some audio issues, it would appear. So let's see if we can't fix that. All right, you guys, we're having a little bit of audio video issues tonight, which is okay. That's fine. We'll just keep on rolling and deal with it. So anyways, man, what a day it's been. Crazy day. Let's get into these news that I have. And actually, audio's 5x5. Thank you, Green Thumb. I was looking for that. All right. So, is the war over? It would appear that for at least a little while that it's kind of cooling down, right? Got a 2-day ceasefire, got some hostages being exchanged. But I have a different theory. So let's get into it. We'll start with the recent news. So, live updates. Israel releases 30 prisoners after Hamas frees up 12. So, I mean, seems like this little cool down is just like a timeout in this geopolitical game of ping pong between these two countries, if you want to call them that. And I mean, part of me is like kind of happy because it feels like things are maybe going to cool off, and after this 2-day extension on the ceasefire, we could potentially see some real calmness over there, at least between those two areas. We do know that Yemen right now is firing missiles at our ships, which is unfortunate and dumb on their part. So my point here tonight is to basically bring up the fact that I think that even if this thing does chill out over there, I think that the chaos and the division has already been sown across the world. And I'll get into that tonight. stipulate the facts, but in the end, you can make your own opinion. So let's get into it. All right. So recently, Tucker and Bannon sat down, and their interview, I highly suggest you go take a look at it. We're actually gonna take a look at it here. But it's a powder keg, is what Steve Bannon is calling it, and that he thinks that this is going to come here. So I'm going to share my screen with you, and let's go ahead and watch a little bit of this interview.
So it seems like Ireland's, of course, a small country, an island in Western Europe, but it seems like this is kind of almost a metaphor for what's happening across the West. What do you make of the rioting there and the government's response to it?
Well, look, you've been to Hungary. You know, Viktor Orban has led this fight for years and has tried to get his country, the sovereignty of it, to stay away from what's happening in Germany and places like Ireland. Ireland's probably one of the worst, if not the worst, because the political class has totally sold out the people. You know, they've had, I think, 125,000 immigrants in the last year. That is the same equivalent if all of Joe Biden's 9 million illegal alien invaders here in our country all came within 1 year. That's the impact it's had on Ireland.
So we can obviously see those parallels here. And here's the next clip.
A government makes it a crime to criticize that government's policies, then it's not by definition a free country, is it?
I think you're absolutely correct, and I think you're seeing that here in the United States. I mean, as you know, I mean, you're hounded all the time. If you have a different opinion from the state, right, they're trying to criminalize that, and they're doing that, trying to do that every day here in the United States. It's one of the reasons that if they can't criminalize it to actually use the courts and the police state like the FBI to come after you, they'll basically partner with big tech to either deplatform you or to other you. We're seeing this here in the United States. And this is just about the situation of the problem. Think about the solution. I keep telling people, hey, think downrange to 2025. If we're able to win and closing that win, think of the issues we have to deal with, not just in the budget, but with the deportations. I mean,
so let's be honest here. Obviously, things aren't getting any better at the southern border. I actually have another article to bring up in regards to that. Just yesterday, we had some major events go down on the southern border. But first, let's tell this like the story that it really is. So we have the Israel-Gaza thing kickoff. Then they get into negotiations, and now we have a ceasefire and a hostage exchange. Sounds like good news. Meanwhile, the rest of the world is basically in a full-fledged domestic confrontation, I would suppose you could say. So let's look at some FBI numbers or some FBI statements. So this is straight from the American Defamation League. FBI data reflects deeply alarming record, high numbers of reported hate crimes incidents in the U.S. 2022. I mean, that's kind of no surprise to any of us. We know that things are picking up and kicking off over here, largely at universities. And I'm going to go through those universities with you. Which ones are on that side and which ones are on the other? So here's the full list of universities staging pro-Palestinian protests. You might actually be surprised at some of these, and then again, you may not. So first off, we have good old Harvard. So the students hold an Israeli regime, or the students hold a pro-Hamas protest, and students, quote, hold the Israeli regime entirely responsible for all unfolding violence, said the statement issued by the Harvard Palestine Solidarity Groups. Next up, I think it was Indiana. Yep, Indiana University. The Palestinian Solidarity Committee announced a peaceful counter-protest at the same time supporters of Israel were rallying on the Indiana campus in Bloomington on Monday. Arizona State University. California State University, Long Beach, and University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. These are just some of the larger colleges that are, I would say, maybe a little bit more, um, known about. And when you think about it, it's like we're being infiltrated from all sides. It's our culture, it's our southern border, and largely they share something in common. People coming through the southern border aren't just from one country, they're from multiple countries. So they don't all necessarily love us and like America. I don't know if some of you guys saw, but recently Hamas tweeted out this stupid post that said, "The West is next." Yeah, over my dead body. Anyhow, we are also, there's professors in colleges that are teaching children that you're either oppressed or that you're an oppressor, and it's a black and white world. What I do for a living, I can tell you that there's plenty of gray area in all things, you know, between the left and the right. And this is where we're getting this division sown into this country, and also after this recent event. So they're already here. And recently we have this Pennsylvania. Oh, no, that's not it. Sorry. I always seem to do that. Do I have? I don't. Looks like I don't have it. But Pennsylvania just had a recent water sanitation cyber hack where, oh, I do have it. Let's share it with you guys. Bear with me for a second. Here we go. All right, so Iranian hacking group attacks Pennsylvania Water Authority. Now, here's what I found interesting about this. Is now I could see what the group is trying to achieve here in two different fronts. One, the United States is backing Israel. Okay, makes sense. But also, the software used at this specific facility is a Israeli software. And so they are not only targeting all systems that use Israeli software, but they are also targeting, the United States as a whole. The West is next, as they say. So the U.S. Cybersecurity Infrastructure Security Agency is investigating a cyber attack from an Iranian hacking group known as the Cyber Avengers that targeted a small municipal water authority in Pennsylvania over its use of Israeli-owned software, according to officials. I mean, guys, this is getting to a point where I feel like it's only ramping up. People are on their toes. That Rainbow Bridge thing supposedly turned out to be, a nothing bucket. So let's keep rolling in with this. Here's the big news from the southern border. So just yesterday, 700 migrants have crossed illegally within the last few hours west of Lukeville, Arizona, and the Oregon Pipe National Monument line is growing and is over a quarter-mile long. If you guys want to take a look at this too, I can also show you. So let's do that. It's crazy too because this was probably taken around 12 o'clock, maybe afternoon time. And as it goes on, you can totally see how this line just keeps getting bigger. So here we go, right here. So anyhow, all throughout the night, this ended up being a thing that ended up just kept growing. And I think it was just yesterday I saw a whole train that was coming into the United States or headed for the United States that had border crossers all over the top of it for as long as the train was. So, these people, they don't love us. They don't They don't have the same values as we do in this country. Some of them do, though, you know. But largely, we are opening ourselves up for huge problems, and there's nothing being done down there for whatever reason. This almost, and with funny words, put on the word almost. This is fabricated 100%, I feel like. So, then missiles fired from Yemen toward U.S. warship that responded to attack on commercial tanker. They are telling us that we can reach out and touch you. We know you're there, and we can hone our missiles to hit you. Obviously, nothing happened, thank God. But if something did, can you imagine the flack that would come from such an event? It would be really bad. So, anyways, I guess my main thoughts here tonight are the fact that, is the war over? Well, we just don't know quite yet. It would appear that there's a ceasefire. There's a 2-day extension on the ceasefire for more hostage exchange, and I would assume that they're going to get back to it when the time comes. Now, largely, like I've already said, throughout the world, there's already been this division sown, right? So if we do get back to war, you can only expect to see an uptick in that. You can expect to see an uptick in cyber attack events, if we even hear about them. And also, I think that we're going to have some more infiltrated attacks, strategically coordinated attacks that end up happening here soon, too. You know, you remember what happened October 7th. It was a holiday. So they're going to catch us when we're least with it, or hurt us when we are on a holy day, a holiday. So I think that's pretty much all I have for you guys tonight. Oh, no, that's not true. So I found one more article, and it's from our friends at CNN. And it was actually back in July that they issued this article. And honestly, I can't say I fully disagree, but their perspective is suspect. But is it really? So, why the U.S. does not get to assume that it lasts forever. Now, I think a lot of us here in the United States believe that we're number one, we're the best. But I mean, we have 70% of our young men and women who basically don't even want to join the military. And said that if we got into a large global conflict, that they wouldn't fight for this country. So are we that great? I mean, look at the last 4 years, the division that has happened. It's actually gone past that, but largely the last 4 years have been really tough. And I don't see things are only moving towards a boiling point as far as I see them. Moving to the election next, right? So I'm just going to read a little bit from this article here because there's an interesting take. They're not wrong, but their perspective is obviously learned from some far left Marxist professor at some high ranking college, some Ivy League college somewhere. This is the crap that they're teaching. So as the United States marks its 247th birthday Tuesday, questions about how many more the nation will celebrate in its current form have become ominously relevant. I would agree with that statement. In its current form, yeah, for sure. This is the new normal, I suppose. So the greatest risk probably isn't a repeat of outright secession that triggered the Civil War, though even though that no longer seems entirely impossible in the most extreme scenarios. More plausible is the prospect that the nation will continue its drift into irreconcilable blocks of red and blue states, uneasily trying to occupy the same geographic space. And there's this quote here by Donald Kettle. I can't recall a time when we've had such fundamental friction between the states on such important issues. I couldn't agree more. And the issues are numerous and many. They are the last president. They are the current president. It's this whole Israel Gaza thing happening in the Middle East. It's abortion. I mean, it just the list goes on and on. It's even to a point now where it's men and women. Like they have turned the sexes against each other to an extent. Men don't think, well, women don't think they need men, and men are feeling defensive like, yeah, chivalry, I guess, is dead because you guys have killed it. So this is everything that's going on. Whether or not the war is over there, I think it's just beginning over here. So I'm going to jump in to these comments, talk to you guys. Papa's Farm, thanks for stopping by tonight. Let's go to the top. Green Thumb Prepper. Man, thanks for coming by. It's nice to see you here. Nice to see some friends. Papa's Farm, always good to see you. You and me need to talk. I know here soon you got something that you're jumping in on, so I'll meet you over there. But we have to talk about that thing. You know what I mean? What else we got here? Cigar Prepper. I haven't met you before, brother. Thanks and welcome. People are taking sides in the U.S. and the government is against Republicans. We need to watch out. Yeah, they most certainly are. I think it's bigger than that, though. It's not just Republican. It's conservative values are no longer popular or allowed, maybe. You know, they'll be allowed in the internment camps, but just not out on the public streets. Who else do we got in here tonight? Just exploring every path. Thank you for showing up, brother. Nice to see you. Well, guys, I hope this was helpful to you guys. If it is, hit the like button. Tell the algorithm that you enjoyed your time here. Sorry I had some audio and video issues tonight. I'm not sure what's going on. We'll get it figured out. But stay safe, stay prepped, keep your head on the swivel, and stay vigilant, because I only think that things are going to start to get a little bit more crazy. So if there was ever time to be lazy, it's not freaking today, bro. Okay? So you guys stay blessed, and we'll catch you next time.